Leticia Bush is not the only one speaking out against the Miss World Cayman Islands committee. We now have a statement from Estefania Steph McDermott, who is the first runner-up to Leticia in the 2024 Miss World Cayman Islands pageant. Stick around because we're going to take a look at it right after this. Hey pageant fans, welcome back to another episode of T-Stance on Pageantry, where we talk all things pageant related. I'm your host, Teresa. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. And if you're new here, thanks for joining us. Now, the reason I have chosen to make a video surrounding this statement is because when I read through this statement and when I'm reading some of the online commentary, what is very, very plain to me is that there's just a very, very deep lack of understanding of how pageantry works here and what the role of the first runner-up and how that really functions. So I wanted to provide some insight into pageantry for those who are not well versed, and so that we can all use this as a learning opportunity. So first and foremost, I want to say that I've been involved in pageants for about 15 years now, and I've never seen anything like this situation that we are in, where we have a first runner-up who did not sign her contract. I've never really known of that situation to happen. I could be wrong and I just don't know, but I've never seen it. Usually speaking, the first runner-up will always sign their contract. And I think that that's part of why there's so much controversy, is that a lot of people didn't even know that there are contracts involved in pageants. And they didn't know that, the first runner-up also gets a contract in addition to the title holder. So I think that that is what is causing a lot of questions, and people just want clarity around the situation. So I thought I'd just jump in and just provide a bit more clarity based on what I have observed throughout the 15 years that I've been involved in pageantry. Now, one of the things that stands out to me about Steph's statement is where she says, on March 31st, 2025, the organization published a decision behind closed doors saying that I did not fulfill my contractual obligations. This is a false statement, since I was never called to fulfill any responsibilities that my title required. Now, after reading this statement, one thing is very, very evident to me, and is that I believe Steph may have misinterpreted a part of the press release, particularly the part that speaks to finalizing her contractual obligations. My understanding of that part of the press release was that the first runner-up did not sign her contract. And we did get confirmation that that is what the committee meant when they said that in the press release. Because during the talk show interview that took place last week, Pamela Ebanks-Small, the director of Miss World Cayman Islands, confirmed that the first runner-up did not sign her contract. So what I think is happening here is I actually do think that she's misunderstanding the word finalize and fulfill. When the committee said finalize contractual obligations, they meant that she did not sign the contract. However, within her statement, what she is claiming that the committee said is that she did not fulfill her contractual obligations, which to me means two different things. Finalize and fulfilled. To me, finalize means you didn't sign the contract, and fulfill would have been like if you were called upon to do your duties and you did not execute your duties. And that is not what the press release was saying. So I feel like there's just a really, really big misunderstanding here. And this is part of the problem. And it's because we've never really had this situation happen. Now, I want to reiterate something that I said in one of my previous videos about this topic. And that is, when you win a title or a runner-up position on the night of the pageant, essentially you win that in name only. So what does that mean? Well, I have a little analogy that I think will help you guys to understand. It's a little bit crazy, but just go with me. In my mind, winning a pageant is kind of comparable to winning the presidency of the United States. Every 4 years, the American people go to the polls and they vote for the person they believe should be the president. When that person is announced as the winner of the election, they are henceforth known as the president-elect. And that signals that this person has been officially chosen. However, they have not formally assumed the office as yet. And they do not assume that office until inauguration day, right? So it's kind of the same thing with pageantry, because when you sign on the dotted line, that is when you officially take over the duties that come with that position. Now, generally speaking, in the Cayman Islands, I have never seen a pageant that has their title holder or their first runner-up sign the contract on the same night that they are crowned in sash. Usually it's a couple of days or a week or a month, or in this case, it was a few months. However, once you sign that contract, that is really what allows you then to act in the capacity of the queen, to act in the capacity of the first runner-up. So that is why it is very, very important when you receive your contract that you do take the time to review it. And I do encourage persons to review it with someone else, whether it be a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, maybe even a sibling. And even better yet, if you have access to a lawyer, going over your contract with a lawyer can be very, very beneficial. And that is because that contract is a legally binding document, and it sets out the rules and obligations that you have to abide by if you want to remain acting as the queen or acting as the first runner-up. Now, if you have questions or concerns after reviewing your contract, I also encourage you to reach out to your committee to get clarity around those questions and concerns. And guess what? Sometimes there is even room for negotiation, right? And not everything will be up for negotiation, but there may be some terms in there that can be negotiated so that you can find compromise between yourself and the committee or the organization, and it can make you more comfortable signing the contract. Now, by signing the contract, what you're effectively communicating to everyone with the pageant, the community, the country, is that you want to be a representative of this system, that you are willing to be a representative of this system, that you are willing to work for this system, and that you are willing to abide by the rules and obligations set out in that contract. Now, let's say that you choose not to sign that contract, which you have every right to refuse to sign the contract. But understand that when you do that, what essentially are the consequences that come with that? And so what has happened is that because there's no contract in place, it means that you have not secured your opportunity to step into the role of queen should the opportunity ever arise. And the tricky thing is about that is you never know when the opportunity will arise. It's very, very rare that we will have a first runner-up step in, but if anything were to happen to the queen, it would then go to the first runner-up. However, the caveat is provided you have a contract with the committee. So understand that by signing that contract, it obligates the committee to utilize you if the opportunity arises. So understand that as a first runner-up and even as a second runner-up, you are basically a queen in waiting. You are there to step in if the need be. In the Cayman Islands, it has happened I would say in the last 6 years, it's happened 3 times now. This is the 3rd time that we have seen a need to have our queen be appointed, right? In 2020, we had it happen. Those were special circumstances because of COVID-19. We were not able to have a pageant. So the Miss Universe Cayman Islands Committee called upon their first runner-up from the 2019 pageant, Mariah Tibbetts, to assume the role of Miss Universe Cayman Islands 2020 so that she could go to Miss Universe. And I know that never in her wildest dreams did she imagine that she would even get to fulfill that role, because by that point, the winner of the 2019 pageant had already gone to Miss Universe and for all intents and purposes had fulfilled her role. She thought, well, this is it. It's over. I would have to recompete in order to gain the opportunity to be the queen. But due to COVID and not being able to have a pageant, they were then able to call upon her, and they were able to do so because she had a contract in place. Also, again, in 2022, we saw a similar thing happen where the first runner-up, Chloe Powery, had to take over for the queen because the queen was involved in a court case. And so she was not able to go to Miss Universe. So the first runner-up went to Miss Universe, and when she returned, she was officially crowned as Miss Universe Cayman Islands 2022. And here we have it again happening in 2025, but this time with the Miss World Cayman Islands title holder. So ladies, I want this to be a learning experience for everyone interested in pageantry, that you do have to sign a contract if you intend to fulfill the duties that come with that position. So if you don't sign a contract that secures your opportunity to fulfill that role, just know that this is the kind of thing that you are leaving yourself open to. And the committee is well within their rights to comply with the contracts that they do have. And in this case, they had a contract with the second runner-up. And so that is how the second runner-up is able to assume the role of the queen. So I really hope that this has helped people understand how we ended up in this situation. People just automatically assume that when you win a title or first runner-up, that it means that you are entitled to the duties that come with that. And you are, however, provided that you sign that contract. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope that this has been informative. Please comment down below your thoughts, or if you have questions about this, I'd love to hear from you. Be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and be sure to hit the notification bell before you leave so you can be notified of when my next video comes out. Until next time, have a beautiful day.